wanted to achieve something great. That thing has been bugging me. This thing where you haven't really fulfilled your potential. And I never knew how to really get that. And now we quit our jobs and opened up a restaurant.
My name is Paul Harvey, and this is Life, Passion and Business. We're about helping you explore, finding your passion for life and the work that you do. But it's so much more than that. It's about finding clues to the big life questions. What does it mean to be successful? What is the meaning of life? If you're looking for more, then join me on this journey where together we will discover through interviews, tools and tips how to live life full of meaning, passion and purpose. And welcome to the programme. Ziad Zammer was born in Lebanon, and he and his family moved to Australia when he was 3 years old. At 10, he returned to Lebanon and stayed for 6 years before coming back to Australia, where he has lived ever since. His life is a fusion of both cultures. At high school in Australia, Ziad did the business studies and hated it, which brought him to the decision that physical work was the better option. He found work in the mines and stayed for a few years until he became a driller for about 5 years, which inspired him to explore the oil and gas industry, and that led him back into study. He achieved a bachelor's degree in petroleum and drilling engineering and found a good job in the industry. Now, working in the industry was good. He was well paid, but it was not enough. He longed to do more. In his native Arab culture, food is a big part of his family life, and he decided that the restaurant business was the place to be to fulfill his true potential. However, he had no knowledge or experience of the restaurant industry, and is often said, if you want to lose money, start a restaurant business. None of this stopped him, and he and his ex-wife Katalin opened a Lebanese Arab fusion restaurant called the Hummus Club in 2016. Now, I have to say my jaw dropped when Ziad said he managed the kitchen but he hated cooking. This project is an example of being willing to take on a challenge with a purpose to fill a bigger objective. These guys started a 100-seater restaurant business with 25 new staff, and none of them had any idea what they were doing. You might be considered crazy, and that's how it looked for a while. Day 1, nothing happened. Day 2 got a little bit better, but within a few weeks that restaurant was serving 100 plus covers a night. This is an amazing story of how a project can be successful with passion and purpose at the helm. We talk about leadership, self-awareness, the wake-up calls, the mistakes that they made along the way. This is about values, failures, and the acceptance of who we are. My conversation with Ziad was very candid and in some ways unexpected, as the main reason for doing this podcast was to talk about his baseball card collecting compulsion and the book that he had written. So along with the highs and lows of being a restaurateur, there are some deep issues in this conversation, including the psychology of collecting. There is one point in the conversation where he turns the tables on me and starts challenging me about my inspiration for starting a podcast. I must say that Ziad is a colourful personality, and he uses colourful language. I had considered bleeping them out at some point, but I think it takes out the emotion of what he's saying. I hope you enjoy the conversation with Ziad Zammer. I am with Ziad Zammer today, and he is a lifelong collector and entrepreneur. As always, it will be unpacked. We'll discover around this man's life. And I know he lives in Australia and it's late at night for him. So let's see what happens. Thank you for taking the time to be with me today. So delighted you're here with me.
Thanks. I appreciate it. It's a pleasure to be here, actually.
Good. That's what I like to hear.
Yeah. And I think we're having a previous discussion and it might get pretty deep. So, I get pretty deep.
Well, this podcast has the questions that allow it to go deep. That's the point. So let's give us a little bit of introduction about yourself. Who are you? I know who you are and what you do. I know you're a collector. I know you're an entrepreneur. So tell me a little bit about yourself. What's the story been for you so far? How did you get here?
I have no clue how I got here to this point. It kind of life is a bit of a blur. You know, when you go through so many intense experiences in life, and you don't know how you got through them. I was younger.
Where were you brought up?
I was born in Lebanon. I came to Australia when I was 2 or 3. Then I went back to Lebanon from 10 to 16, and then I came back here. So I went to high school, didn't know what I want to do. I started doing business, and then I realized I didn't like it, so I went up to the mines. I worked in the mines for a few years. Then I became a driller for about 5 years, and then decided to study petroleum engineering. At that point, engineering was something I really never wanted to study, but I think it was getting to a point where I was starting to get more interested into the drilling kind of game. And petroleum engineering, drilling engineering is sort of a branch of that. And I studied a Bachelors of Petroleum Engineering. I worked for it was an good Australian oil and gas company. And then in life, when you have this thing in your stomach and you think, like for me, I've always had this little thing in my stomach where I've wanted to achieve something great. And that thing has been bugging me. And, I sort of realized what it was at that time. It was called like this, burden, right? This thing where you haven't really fulfilled your potential. And I never knew how to really get that. And I think, it was that one moment where I thought to myself, and I was talking to my business partner and my ex-wife at the time, and we were both miserable in our jobs. Miserable. I wasn't miserable, but I wanted more. But she wasn't happy in what she was doing at the time. And we came up with this thing where my father used to own a restaurant. I love food, eating food. And also there was this thing going on where the Middle East wasn't portrayed very well. And we opened up a restaurant. We quit our jobs and opened up a restaurant.
Wow. Let's just stop there a minute. The previous period of time, this is all about passion for me. Is this exploration of passion? It sounds like what you were lacking is an expression of passion.
I was lacking meaning. Okay, I feel I was lacking self-understanding, self-growth. I knew there was something bigger for me.
Yeah,
business was something I was always interested in.
Yeah,
I didn't know anything about it. Failed at it many times. When I thought I was in business, my business partner, my partner at that time she was lacking something. She hated her job. She knew she wanted to be more creative. She was a creative person. But at the time, she was a pharmacist, and there's not much creativity in being a pharmacist. Well, for her anyway. And for me, when you talk about passion and purpose are kind of two different things, because to have a purpose, you have to be passionate about something. Okay. And to be passionate about something, you have to start doing something. To start doing something, you got to not procrastinate about something. And I think it's the fear of failing that when you start wanting to do something so badly, you just don't know how to, because you're procrastinating so much about it. So this circle, it's a very vicious circle, and it just doesn't stop until you find this opportunity. And that's when you have this thing in your head where you go, well, this is a junction point. Now I can go this way and take the risk. And if I do this and take all the risk, it'll drive me to just go nonstop, because I've got that personality where I'm obsessive and just persistent. But if I go this way and I miss the opportunity, that junction point fades again. And I felt in my head, if I keep doing this and not getting after and not just grabbing it, it'll keep fading until I'll never be able to see it again.
It's interesting you went for a restaurant, because from business sense, anyone in business would say to never open a restaurant.
Exactly.
They say if you want to lose money, open a restaurant.
Correct. Right. And if you want to like get a divorce, and you want to like also not that, but also
no. But restaurant is one of the hardest things to make work.
We had a purpose. Yeah. Okay. And this is where the passion part comes in.
Yeah.
The way the Middle East was portrayed, we wanted to break the stereotypes and change perceptions through creativity.
What year was this? What kind of year was this?
This was about 6 years ago. So this was in 2016.
2016, okay.
And breaking and showing the creativity means like, the beautiful Arabic script and the music that Arabic hip hop artists from their bedroom, and creative Middle Eastern food. So, For me, with my dad, I used to go to my father's house. We used to eat, and we used to go, how good is this food? But no one really used to show it in a creative way, that where the Western palate and in a sort of a branded in a way where our purpose can be really delivered through our values to this kind of new target audience, this generation now. And that's what we wanted to do, but we had no idea what we were doing. I don't like cooking. I'm not a chef. So we really went into the deep end and, kind of fake it till you make it kind of thing.
Let me get this clear. You went into a restaurant and did you manage the kitchen by chance?
Yes. Yeah.
So you manage the kitchen and you don't like cooking?
No.
That sounds like a recipe for this. That sounds like a recipe for disaster.
Yeah,
Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah. But I was passionate about why we were doing it.
Right.
And this is where it gets to this part about meaning.
Yeah.
The one thing that we did right was be consistent with our purpose and our values.
Yeah.
And this may sound cliche to many people, whoever it is that's listening to this, whether they're starting business or whatever, understanding, especially in business, the purpose, especially when you have because by the way, a restaurant, you don't just start with one employee. You have to start with 25 straight up.
Right.
Okay. So understanding how young people work, understanding what meaning and purpose is and how it gives you direction, because when you're about to fall, the only thing that's going to pick you back up is the reason why you started.
Yeah.
Because it's all well and good when you started, you get excited, right? Everyone's excited. Oh my God, I can't wait to do this. Look at this. And then when things start really getting hard, you start falling.
Yeah.
But you got to keep reminding yourself of that. This is why we started. So that feeling was real when we first started. And I still remember where, the day that we were in a meeting with the architect and the builder and my business partner and the landlord, and they were talking all about this stuff, and I had no idea what I was saying. And we were looking at each other and we were kind of partially freaking out. Like the kitchen, I remember cutting up little pieces, like the fridge in 1 centimeter pieces, 1 centimeter like squared, almost as a way to design the kitchen.
Yeah.
Like the fridge is 2 centimeters squared, and I'd literally design the kitchen like that, because we're doing market stores beforehand, so we kind of have an idea of what kind of we need. But this is a full-blown 100-seater restaurant. Yeah. In the heart of the city, it's busy. So I remember the first day, it was dead, and that was like, oh man, this is really like, wow, what do I do here? And the second day, it was getting busier. And everyone, I remember all the staff looking at me going, what do we do? I go, just let's keep going. Let's clean. Let's get better, Because I had this purpose in my head, like, we need to show people this out of the Middle East, but we're not going to, we have to keep going, because when you keep persisting, what's going to happen? Like, I mean, literally, if you keep persisting and going and going and going, unless you're incapacitated, I mean, it will work. Mm-hmm. And I became quite obsessive with making things, learning about business. So I remember calling out the first docket, and I don't know how a pass works and how it all works. I remember calling out lamb kufta. I need one lamb kufta, and that was the first time I ever called a docket. And I had 3 chefs behind me. Yeah. Or 2 chefs at the time. And I look back at them, I go, what do we do now? Like, and I go, you better start cooking. I go, oh, okay. And it was a disaster that first night. It was a complete disaster. Couldn't even serve 50 people. And then over the weeks, we did 100 people. Then we did 150, 200. And, now we'll do 200, 250 people, and not easy. Right. We test and learn. We test and learn. And that's the thing.
And you laid that kitchen out with squares of paper.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's how we designed the kitchen pretty much. Yeah. Yeah. And, I wrote procedures, and I wrote all the things that, that probably people looked at as, this is not normal in hospitality. I just did it because it was practical. So everyone had procedures, but we test and learn quick. And the one thing we really learned, and that was hard to learn, is a bit of self-awareness. When we talk about life, that taught us a lot about life.
Well, I'm sure it would, because you literally went in with no knowledge, and you learned on the job.
Knowledge.
And you learned on the job. You learned to run a kitchen with all the procedure things. You learned to look after people and staff, customers. Yeah, you were on an incredible learning curve.
Yeah, my business was running front of house. I was running the kitchen. And it's still now, there's still lines outside after 5 years, 50-minute waits. It's been to that
Wow.
point on, yeah, it's busy. We are busy and we have a great culture. But, talk about culture is self-awareness. And when you have a group of young people, there's a certain amount of leadership style you start learning to have. So I remember when I first started, I was firing people like a machine.
Right.
And it was horrible. And I still feel like, wow, that was so bad,
Mm-hmm.
And I really well, okay, is it me or people just not? And my patience was not acceptable. I didn't have no patience. And then I learned that I remember the culture in the kitchen collapsed after the first year because I left the kitchen, started consulting, and I remember going and sitting all my staff and saying, look, I apologize for being a poor leader. What is it that I can improve on? And I went around the table. I remember everyone saying, you're not approachable, you're too angry. And one person said, you're a prick. And I said, man, I'm going to have to unprick myself.
But
and,
when you
hard.
get feedback like that, delivered like that, it's
Yeah,
a wake up. It's a wake up call, isn't it? And in some ways, it's a bloody gift. And I know it's awful.
It is a gift.
But it is a
It's
gift.
a gift. Yeah, it takes a lot of your ego. You have to pull it out of your ass and really learn a lot about yourself. And when you expose yourself emotionally naked, honestly, and everyone's seeing what's under there, there's a certain amount of trust and respect to you get. And if you think about it, would you rather trust and respect someone who's been vulnerable, or rather trust and respect someone who's not showing any vulnerability or honesty within themselves when they're wrong?
Yeah.
There's two sides.
Yeah.
For the younger generation, they really respect when you're caring about them, and what care looks and feels like to them. That's individual, but mainly is to be heard. And when I'm asking what I can improve on, and I've shown vulnerability to them, and I trust they're not going to use that to my demise, essentially, there's a certain amount of ownership they have to take now for themselves. And it all started from there. The whole self-awareness journey, that all started from there. And we got better, and we got better, and we got better. We made a lot of mistakes on the way, a lot. We've messed up, we fucked up so many times, but we got it right at the end. And not right, but we felt comfortable at the end, where within ourselves. And the more, and this is the key thing, our success was a reflection on us. Our people, the better our people, we got better and better people, or people have improved more and more as a reflection on how much we improved within ourselves. And when we talk about life, that's a journey. Like, that was a journey where I learned everything about business because my passion for it, of test and learning, was, there's like this cycle of success kind of thing. It's like you have this idea and you kind of like execute it because you have no choice. You're going to lose everything. And then you get these results and you get confident. And it's kind of like this vicious positive circle where you keep going. And, that I just got obsessive and passionate. And my purpose was really like business, understanding business. And that's where my passion came from, is diving into something on the unknown. And self-awareness, like when you talk about self-awareness, is like that's a word, that's a term that's just flicked around everywhere. I call it really self-reflection. Reflect upon yourself,
Powerful
really,
stuff. Powerful stuff when you can actually take the time to do that. I mean, and many people are too busy to notice.
Yeah, they are, and they don't know how to notice, because I don't know, and sometimes they're not even in the environment to feel comfortable to notice. And this is where acceptance was really important in what we were doing. When we have someone new, the first thing I say to them is, listen, this is why we're doing what we're doing, and this is how we're doing it. These are our values. But if you fuck up, that's okay. Don't worry about it. Fuck up. It's good for you. But I'll pick you back up. You know what I mean? So don't be worried about fucking up. Because at the end of the day, the more mistakes you make, don't make too many mistakes. Okay, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that to come in and make a lot of mistakes.
Well, the
Just be
key is
honest.
make a mistake, but don't keep making it, isn't it?
Yeah,
Make the mistake once and
yeah,
learn from it.
yeah, and be honest.
Yeah,
Honesty,
yeah,
honesty, integrity is the main thing, and that's where we learn most. Like, be honest about your mistakes. Don't be scared. You know, don't. This is not an environment where you need to fear. Because if you're honest about it, I'd actually love you more, really, to be honest.
mm.
And it developed from there. So acceptance is really key. I mean, if we can't accept each other, what's the point?
Well, that's the biggest thing in the world, isn't it? The world has to learn acceptance right across the board. I mean, that's what we have to learn all over, isn't it? In a way,
Well, it's like,
that's humanity's big thing to learn. I mean, you know, you think in
yeah,
The Middle East is all about acceptance. Yeah,
yeah.
the U.S.
Why
election, all
can't?
about election, about acceptance. The same in this country. We've got acceptance
But
issues. We've got them everywhere.
yeah, yeah. But I think if we just turn it to a practical point of view, just accept someone is introverted
Yeah,
and accept someone is shy.
yeah.
It's okay. Is it not okay for someone to be overweight? Is it not okay for someone to be homosexual?
Mm-hmm.
Is it not okay for someone to be depressed?
Mm-hmm.
If it's all these things we think it's not okay, then we have a problem.
Mm-hmm.
Because if we don't accept each other because it's just practical, it is a gangster thing. I say this to my staff all the time. It is such a badass thing to accept each other.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you accept people's, you accept your own shit. But you'll never be able to accept your own shit if you can't accept people. If you're going to judge and make assumptions, maybe people need to be kind to each other and just go, look and ask with the intent to understand about them. Not just ask like, hey, how you going? Maybe, hey, how are you? And pause.
When we get down to it, we all want the same things in the day.
Yeah.
When you get past all of the the stuff, we all want the same stuff. We all want the same.
Yeah,
stuff.
but why do people find it a struggle to accept things? Because they have issues themselves, and that's fine. That's okay. If we all have issues, we're all fucked up. But we got to remember we're all fucked up.
Yeah.
All of us. Do you think we're not? We're fucked up from our parents. We're fucked up from technology.
Well, it's just the journey we're on.
Who cares?
It's a journey of discovery that we're on, aren't we? And we're all a product of that history. It's whether we allow that history to affect us and change us.
Well, this is okay. You've touched on a subject here where we got to talk about. Now, in my opinion, you made a good point, but just want to say one thing. Whoever's listening, I suppose, and actually, this is what comes down to the same thing of how I ran a business is the same thing as why I wrote this book. Okay, if acceptance is important, but if we can't accept that we're fucked up and it's okay, then it's bad. It's not good because we have to accept ourselves. It's okay that you are the way you are. If I like eating, I'm an emotional eater, okay? I love eating junk food. I just love it. It's just great. It tastes great. I love chips. I just love chips. All right? I'll smash chips and a burger if I'm happy. If I'm sad, I'll just smash it. If I'm extra sad, I'll smash it harder. And I'll just smash it in general. Because I like to get an emotion out of it. That's an issue I've got. I'm an emotional eater. Okay.
Right.
But I have to be aware of that. I have to accept that I am. I have to accept I love food so much. But all I have to do is just accept it. But also the things that I am good at, I have to accept that. Because we can't just accept our shit that we're not good at. We have to accept the things that we're good at.
Yeah.
Because that doesn't make sense.
No.
It's like when we fail, we love really like celebrating our failures, right? And we just so harsh on ourselves. But when we succeed, fuck that. We don't want to even talk about successes because we feel embarrassed. That's bizarre. That is bizarre.
And I think there is some proclivity for that, and there's something to do with the way the brain is structured. We always look for the
Right.
we look for
Negatives.
we look for the disasters as a
Yeah.
way of defending and protecting ourselves.
Right.
So we
And
don't
did you know what?
notice.
Do you know where that comes from? Do
Well,
you know where that comes from?
probably the middle lizard brain. It's probably right back from day one when we first
Yeah.
started.
Yes. Hunter-gatherer days.
Yeah.
Okay. So back at the hunter,
Yeah.
back in the day, used to go hunt, and the family used to, the partner used to sort of look after the kids. Or the first thing that she's thinking is, he's going to come back. He's not going to come back.
Yeah.
Negative, like bad thoughts, negative thoughts.
Yeah.
The first thing he's thinking is, I don't want to die. I better protect myself.
Yeah.
So we've already got this mentality now in a world where there's technology and people getting judgment, and it's really messed up.
Well, technology feeds it, doesn't it? In a way, the social media stuff feeds it.
All right. And the point I'm making is this, and it's a really important one. We have to go all in what we're good at, and just be aware of what we're not. Okay. We can't change who we are. This is the key thing. We can't change who we are. Because if we change who we are, that's not us. We can become better versions of ourselves, but don't change. Don't try to be someone else, because it's impossible. Because everyone we look up to are people that are being themselves.
Mm.
Okay. That's what I want to say out of all this, because it is easier to not change yourself. Just be who you are. Be authentic, be you, but just be aware of whatever that is, whether it's jealousy, whether it's anger, whether it's how you look, whatever it is that insecurity is, or whatever the problem is, be aware that doesn't fuck you up all the time. And the more you're aware of it, the more you'll start accepting yourself. And that's badass. And that's the key thing here.
Well, it is. It's celebrate your best bits.
Yeah, because why not? It's just badass to do that.
So,
you know what I mean?
One of the other things I want to touch on before we move on to the next question is you mentioned in our briefing is that you're a collector, and collecting is a big passion for you. Where does that sit in this conversation?
Oh, this is a rabbit hole now.
But you said you're a collector.
I've been collecting for a while, but no one knew I was collecting. I was collecting very privately.
But I mean, people collect coins. I mean, as a kid, I collected stamps and stuff. We all did the collecting as children. At some point, adults become collectors, and it's a different mentality.
Well, no, it's really just then we're all young children trying to have fun again.
Yeah.
Right. But also, this is the part where the book thing. We have to all be very real with ourselves, and it comes back to the same thing. And I'll probably sound like I'm on loop here, right? But we have to be really honest with ourselves about why we're collecting.
Right.
So the card market at the moment is astronomically booming so hard that it's almost.
What sort of cards are these?
Basketball cards.
Basketball cards. So where does a basketball? Where do they come from? Are they how do you buy basketball cards? Are they? I mean, when I was a child, cards came in packets.
Yeah, correct. That's how they come in.
They came in packets of tea. Yeah, that's how you got cards. And you collected.
Yeah, well, actually, back in the day, a long time ago, the history of them, they come in packets of cigarettes.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I had family members giving me cards and stuff from their cigarettes. Absolutely, I remember.
Yeah, see, those cards are worth a fortune.
I haven't got many more.
And it started bubblegum companies.
Yeah.
And Bowman's. Bubblegum Tops, bubblegum companies. All these companies were Flair. They're all lolly bubblegum companies.
Yeah.
And they started having cards with their packets. Yeah. And that's how when we were younger, we had packs of cards. And I still remember the smell of a fresh pack of 92, 93 Skybox NBA cards.
Okay.
And the smell as a kid, I still remember.
Was this was this in bubble gum in the pack?
No. This was like the Pops bubble gum. That was the 80s.
Yeah.
Early 80s. That was the 80s. This was like 90s, early 90s.
Yeah.
And the smell, I still remember a fresh pack of cards. So, Jordan was an inspiration for me because I lacked a lot of discipline in my life. I lacked a lot of persistence. I was this kind of quite a scared young child. I was a chubby kid, scared. And he would be the kind of guy that would just be persistent no matter what. When someone would say something to him and put him down, he would just own them. Do you know what I mean? So I really looked like that sort of. And also, it was a fun thing to do with my brother, and everyone would open packs cards, would trade cards based on, what other people liked. And it was easy. It's fun, Moving forward, 15, 20 years on and off, a big part of why I collect, especially in the last few years, very hard is because it was understanding why I collected cards. Okay. And I think that's the main thing is the why. We have to understand why we're collecting. And it's okay to be real about it. Most people say money. But that's bullshit. It's not money. And it can never be money. Because that's one thing that comes and goes. Okay. It's a feeling. We're chasing a feeling here. The feeling of making that money, okay, that's what we're talking about. The feeling of having a set of rare cards and you've spent so long finding those cards, and you know that it could be a long-term investment, but we also know that you're the person that has this set because you worked so hard. That's the feeling. Whatever that feeling is for someone, we have to be real about it. And I feel like, there's a lot of, especially now, a lot of people getting back in the hobby. And hence I wrote the book, because, I've gone through failures. I've lost a lot of money. I've gained a lot of money. I've done this, I've done that. And I even got to a point where I spent a lot of money on an advisor to help me because I was just almost borderline hoarding cards.
Okay.
I go through all these phases, but I have to be real about that and get help and ask questions. Do you know what I mean? And knowledge. But
what was the book? What was the book?
And understanding why.
Was the book about collecting?
It's called, the book is about collecting cards. It's called Drawing the Right Card.
Right.
And it's got illustrations in there and talks a lot about, what I'm talking about now. But at the end of the day, it talks about a few things. First of all, it talks about having meaning. So that, like, why are you collecting? Why are you getting back into this hobby? And it's okay, whatever that is, that's okay. But just be real with yourself.
It is collecting cards similar to like collecting art? I mean, the people
it's all the same thing.
Yeah.
Collecting is collecting. We collect for a reason. Yeah. Did you collect anything?
Well, I did stamps as a child, but that was purely because someone had said I should do a stamp collection, and I just started doing it because it was the thing to do with someone. But it never lasted. I think I've probably got them around somewhere in my memorabilia box somewhere, but it was never a big thing for me.
Okay. What about? Is there something that you're passionate about that you become good at?
Podcasting, I guess.
Okay. All right, but that's a hobby.
No, it's more than a hobby, I guess. It's more, yes, it is a hobby. But I enjoy this process of speaking to people and hearing their stories. So that kind of fits.
Why is that?
I just love giving people the chance to speak because people like to talk about themselves, and I enjoy the process of making them look good.
But what feeling do you get out of that?
Yeah, that's a good question, actually. I guess it's connection for me.
Okay. This and I admire. Sorry, I don't mean to put you on the spot here.
No, it's fine.
But this is the kind of question that most people don't want to answer.
I mean, else? What else could I do that would let me talk to someone in Australia, someone in America?
Yeah, and you don't even need to justify. And this is the thing. It's so real, and no one can actually say shit about it because at the end of the day, you're really honest. And the one thing that the most important thing is not only does everyone respect you for that because it's so badass, but you also gain this self-worth and confidence because we are all just trying to live, man. We're all just trying to get better. And, answering that question when I thought you weren't actually going to answer it, to be honest with you, for 1 second there, I was like, answering that question is actually enough for people to know that this guy is being real. He's actually asking questions because he wants to connect people with people. We all are on here because we want to connect more. Do you think
this podcast was started out of connection because my father died in 2017 and it was right for him to go because he was nearly 90 and he wanted to leave. But the big issue for me and him, the big issue for me about his leaving was that he never really fulfilled his life. He never made a choice about life and he became quite cynical. And I recognize similar traits in myself in that. And that's why this podcast was started, because I wanted to explore what other people were experiencing in life. Because I was saying to myself, well, okay, What's it all for? And that's where the questions came from. What is it for? What's the bloody point of it all? Because my father kept saying, well, what's the point?
Yeah,
What's the point?
yeah.
What am I here for?
Yeah. Wow. That's powerful shit, man.
Yeah, it
That
is.
is
So I
so
get to ask,
powerful.
the same question. Well, okay, well, my dad might know it. So I am the clue. He didn't know. So let's
Has,
ask someone
has
else, other
anyone
people.
has anyone asked you that question?
Well, ask me the question. What do I think it's all
Yeah.
for?
No,
Yeah,
why? Yeah, why you do that?
yeah.
Why do you do this podcast?
Well, I talk about it quite often. It's all over the podcast. I say why it's done.
Yeah,
If you
but
look
has
at the
anyone asked you that?
no, yeah, a couple of times. Yeah, why? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And when you get asked that, I just out of curiosity, when you get asked that, how does it feel? Feel good? Does it feel good?
Yeah, it feels. Yeah, I mean, it does feel good. Yes, I mean,
Yeah.
and in a
And
way, and so here's one thing about it: my father never lived his life to the full, and yet in a way, he lives on in this podcast because he gets talked about a lot.
wow, that's deep shit, man. That is really deep. And you know what? And that's a purpose there. That's the meaning, you know. And it's
Yeah,
just it's like you get the good stuff, and you acknowledge the good stuff out of your father. Like this is the thing this is what I'm talking about. Like this is real.
my
This
father was
is
a collector as well.
Oh wow, this is even getting
So
more intense.
when
Go
this
on.
podcast is over, when
Say.
we
Can
finish
you say?
talk,
Can you say he's a basketball card collector?
no, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. But he had loads of old magazines that he'd collected from years back. I mean, when this
Yeah,
podcast is over, I'll show you some of the. I'll get them out and show them to you because.
yeah.
But look, we
No
need to
worries.
move on a bit because I recognize that we are getting geeked out on some of the
Sorry,
detail. No, it's fine.
sorry.
It's fine. This is what we do. This is connection. This is the story.
Your connection.
What
Yeah.
is
So go on.
your connection with success? How do you rate and uncover success? How does that fit for you?
Success is a feeling. Success is a feeling.
Yeah.
For me, success is the feeling of just growing. That's success is very different for many things, and it's situational as well.
Well, I mean, your
I
restaurant
feel
has been
success.
your restaurant has been a success. You say there's still,
Yeah,
and you said to me there are people queuing outside for 50 minutes. So you must have
yeah.
kind of you've got the classic kind of like success as a reward.
It's and like that was the success. That was success, but it doesn't mean I feel success right now
Mhm.
necessarily. Success for me is changing a lot, but it's slowly becoming just getting more and more comfortable, a little bit more calmer, a little bit more peace in my life.
Yep.
Because I'm so intense. I'm so like go, like to work.
Yep.
Grind, like work 24 hours, just don't stop, get obsessive.
Yep.
But it kind of is hurting my brain. And I think success looks like, settling down now and just really just living in the moment, because I don't live in the moment. I just live in the future. I'm just like, this is what we're going to do. And I manifest it. I'm just like, let's go. Until I achieve it. And I just burn out eventually.
So when you live in the future,
success,
you miss the present.
yeah, you do miss the present because it doesn't exist. You're just doing everything. You're working everything, but you don't even have time to have perspective. You lose perspective. And that's what success is to me, not losing perspective.
Yeah.
And appreciating the small things at this present moment. That's what success is for me.
So what are you doing to move yourself towards that? Because it sounds like you are very much someone that does live in the future.
Yeah, and this is a thing. I'm moving away from that. I'm trying to live more in the present and just to take it one step at a time and just allow myself to take in what I've achieved and what I've done, and give myself a bit of a break and not be so hard on myself.
Yeah.
Usually I would speak 100 miles an hour, but like even for this podcast, success for me was like just try to speak a little bit slower.
I wouldn't have known that because you've done very well so far.
Yeah, thanks. Because I've been on previous, like a while ago when I was consulting, I was on a business podcast, and that was just like 100 miles an hour, and I wouldn't shut up. And I'm just like, oh my god, it sounds crazy. But
well, you're doing okay so far. You're doing well with me.
Well, yeah, just taking it in, like being okay because with not having to have all this success and all this greatness, and I just being okay with things, and to I want to have a family soon, and taking things one step at a time. Yeah, taking it one step at a time.
So tell me, what is your contribution? Do you think? What is your contribution to the world?
Oof. Oh God! The only way I feel like my contribution to the world has been is just really accepting people. I think trying to accept people and being a better version of myself to be able to accept more people, because I feel like at the end of the day, when you just do what's right, even when it's not easy, that's really contributing to the world, because it's really it's called leadership, because at the end of the day, I feel there's a lack of leadership in many areas in different aspects of life. Like even when if I talk about basketball cards, for instance, everything right now is about money, 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 money. And half it's all bullshit anyway, because these cards that are selling for millions of dollars, that's pieces of cardboard, man. No one buys pieces of cardboard for millions of dollars. I mean, if I really wanted to buy that for a million, I'd go and tell that player's agent, "Hey, can I meet this person for $1 million?" Do you know what I mean? And then can they give me cardboard? At the end of the day, it's like, but I think the fact that is me writing that book, for instance, and sharing knowledge not based on me and sensationalizing, like, you have to have all these cards, you have to have all this, because I don't really have much anymore. There's nothing to have. I've learned a wealth of knowledge to get. I know how to get all this stuff, but just accepting, making people that it's okay to have nothing and start somewhere, and just being kind to people. That's the only way. And just learning about myself. That's the only way I can really. When you own your own shit, at the end of the day, when you try to own your own shit, I'll just say that. When you, like, we're all trying to our best, right? But when we try our best and not be harmful on each other, I think that's a really great contribution, because it's just one person at a time.
But I think, you've already explored with me your contribution, because clearly you made the lives of the young people that you're working with better.
Yeah.
And even the people that you fired probably gained from it on some level. And you've also introduced a new style of food into an area and given a very positive spin on Arab culture. So I think already
actually,
those aspects of life are already big achievements and big contributions, I would suspect.
And I appreciate you saying that, and this is the thing I'm working on, gaining perspective. Like, really, there's a lot of perspective I've lost, and I'm trying to gain it back and live in the moment. Like, I didn't even think of that the whole purpose of that restaurant, we've really delivered it. But I didn't even think that. All I thought about
that's the contribution,
like,
isn't it? That is the contribution. What you've done at that restaurant.
Yeah.
So look, I need to move us along, because we have got time. We've got time to move. So what is the one question I haven't asked you that I should have done?
I don't know. Whatever question that makes you happy. I don't know.
I think you've answered most of it. Actually, you've gone quite deep already, and that question is there for you to say what you think you need to say. But I think you've said a lot of it already.
Yeah, I don't really like. I just want you to ask whatever you like, But I will say one thing: whoever's listening, like, I really appreciate that they're listening. I mean, it's pretty badass that they're listening to a podcast anyway. But I just want to thank you so much for allowing me to come here. You've really made it quite. You made it really easy for me to, not easy, but you made it very welcoming for me to come. And I just want to say I do appreciate you being upfront and honest with everything you've talked about, and there's a lot of respect that comes from that. So,
thank you.
And for anyone listening as well, maybe if we could all spend a day just really asking someone with the intent to understand about why they enjoy a certain hobby or why they enjoy doing something, with the intent to understand, not to judge, and then with no expectation of anything in return. That I think that would make someone feel really good.
I think
right. That would come.
Listening to people is what it's all about. And what also is the weirdest thing to recognize is the people that you find most difficult to be around are the people that will deliver the greatest gift.
Yeah, they are, because there's struggle.
Well, not just that. It's that often the reason you find them difficult to be around is there's something in them that reminds you of yourself. So you can see something in there, So tell me, if people want to get in touch with you, what's the process? I mean, obviously they can find your book. They can find your book.
They can get on the website. It's called Drawing the Right Card.
Join the right card, okay.
.com, and there's a contact us page. But also, you can find the book on Amazon.
Yeah,
it's an ebook. It's
well, those links will be on the
card.
podcast, so we'll make sure those links are available to everybody.
I'll send you the links.
We'll put in the show notes.
Please get in touch. If anyone is struggling with anything about cards or anything, just get in touch. I'm more than happy to ask. I know.
Is your restaurant open at the moment?
Or in general.
Is your restaurant open in COVID times?
This week we've taken this week off to plan and prepare a little bit better.
Okay.
And then we'll open next week. So from next week onwards, we're back open. But we've been in shutdown.
What's it called, the restaurant?
The Hummus Club.
The Hummus Club. And where is it?
Yeah, it's located in Perth, Northbridge in Perth.
Okay. Well, if anyone's going to Perth, there's a good restaurant to go and check out. I'll put the link above.
Check it out. And check it out. Insta page, the Hummus Club.
Lovely. All those links will be on the podcast notes and at the website lifepassionandbusiness.com.
Thank you so much.
So the final question that I ask all my guests, and there's the one that you can take this however you like. What is the meaning of life, my friend? What is the meaning of life for you? Okay.
I think honestly, the meaning of life is just to really appreciate it. Because if we don't appreciate it, it's just hard to live life. And I think just appreciating the moment, because I suppose the meaning of life is sometimes when you walk through the city or to work and you don't look up. And when you look up, it's a different world. And just be kind to yourself.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's okay. Don't be hard on yourself, but just experience it. Take a step back and just and really ask yourself, is anything wrong? And it's a journey. I'll say at the end of the day, that my answer is the meaning of life is a journey you're experiencing, and enjoy the journey.
Lovely.
Because nothing's bad's going to happen. Everyone will be fine. Just be positive. Try to be,
Ziad Zammer, thank you so much for being with me today. It has been a joy to be talking to you, and I have thoroughly enjoyed it. And thank you. Thank you all the best. Thank you so much. I have to. Thank you, mate. Bye. Yeah. And that was Life, Passion and Business with Paul Harvey and my guest, Ziad Zammer. If you would like to connect with Ziad, you can find him at drawingtherightcard.com. You can find the restaurant on Instagram. It's called the Hummus Club. And if you are in Perth, you can visit the Hummus Club. It is at 258 William Street, Northbridge, Perth. I guess not a lot of use for podcast customers, but hey, I thought I would give a little shout out to the restaurant, but it does look amazing and the food looks good too. As always, if you have enjoyed this podcast, please like, share and comment. If you are in the Apple world, leave us a review because that always helps. The podcast survey and questions are in full swing. You can find those links up above. As I said before, I'd like to speak to people who are celebrating their midlife. Let's have a conversation around how you're doing midlife. So use the links above and it will be great to talk to you. So that's it for me. Thanks for your time and attention, and I'll catch you later. All the best.